Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome She Got Sports.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and whatever you do on your social media.
For sure. So my YouTube channel is She Got Sports, and then basically on all the other social platforms like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I also go by She Got Sports on those. But me, like Lauren, my Twitter account is where I tweet mostly during the games and stuff, and where I tweet most of my opinions and stuff. So that is at It's Lauren Russ. So ITSLAURENRUSS. And my Instagram is It's Lauren Russell. But I don't really use that Instagram too much.
Okay, it's all good. I use different platforms too, but so I was looking into your videos about the weeks of the ranks and all that. So what do you have for week 4's rankings? I mean, I'm kind of intrigued by it. I've seen a little bit of it, and I'm like thinking, okay.
Where do I have any specific teams, or just like what do I have?
Yeah, like ranks in general and what they can do to improve better for the next game.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So I moved the Rams up to number 1 this week because I had the Bucks at number 1 before that, and they beat the Bucks, and I had the Rams at number 2. So just naturally, I moved the Rams up to number 1. Off the top of my head, I think I have the Browns at 4, but for them to stay at number 4, I've had them at 4 throughout like the whole season. For them to stay at number 4, I need to see some more from them. At 5, I think I have the Cardinals. Still, that's a team that might move down. Like, I still need to see more from them, but I just can't move them down yet because they're undefeated. I think right after them, I have the Raiders. Kind of same situation there. I can't move them down yet. Broncos, I think, are the lowest rated undefeated team I have. But if they win this week versus the Ravens, I think they definitely move into the top 10. I put the Cowboys in the top 10 this week. Chargers, they moved into, I think, the number 10 spot. And yeah, I got the Giants at 31, I think.
Oh, that's kind of surprising coming from a Giants fan yourself. I mean,
I can't be biased. So, I honestly think Jacksonville could beat them, and I put Jacksonville 1 ahead of them. I only have the Jets behind them. So
okay, so what do you got the Niners ranked at? I mean, like they lost to the Packers. What's the matchup that you see for the Niners to match up well against Seattle for them to move up a little more?
I think I have them at 11 or 12. I had them in the top 10 before that game. Then I think I had them at 11 or 12 this week. Don't quote me on that. But I do have the Seahawks ranked lower than them. And I was just on another podcast before this, and we did the picks for this week. And I have the 49ers beating the Seahawks. So, the thing with the 49ers, though, is just the injuries stink, like with the secondary and everything. That's, I feel like, the biggest bummer with this team.
Yeah, a lot of the injuries do kind of hurt the team in general. It's like we can't catch breaks, and it doesn't matter who we get out there. I would have thought, I would have thought having as many running backs as we can have, they can produce, but it's not the case. It's like,
yeah.
Oh my God. But okay, so like, oh, cool. I guess Travis Burge. I guess he's seen your show too.
Oh, cool. I feel like the name Travis sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And then Seahawks Eddie's another cool guy, which I play against his team this week. But yeah, okay. So as far as like the rankings, like I see that you're kind of hyping the Raiders a lot, but what makes them more intriguing than the rest of the other teams that might just make a case for the AFC West?
Well, I think right now, definitely because they're undefeated, I have them in the top 10. And, they're undefeated right now. The Chiefs have lost 2 games. I'm really high on the Chargers this season. But, the Raiders have basically handled their business. They didn't handle their business in the prettiest of ways versus the Dolphins. They gave up that late touchdown and then that late 2-point conversion with like seconds left, which you don't want to do, obviously. But, they went to overtime. They handled their business. I really like how Derek Carr is playing. And the defense is just, it's holding up. I'm still a little concerned about that defense. Josh Jacobs, I think he should be back soon, speaking offensively. But I can't move them down yet just because they are undefeated, just because they haven't lost yet, and they've been doing everything they need to do. I think the Chargers could win that division, though. I really do feel the Chargers could, or the Raiders. I mean, or the Chiefs. Like, I'm not gonna count out the Chiefs after 2 weeks, but I really like the Chargers are my sleeper team heading into the season. Like, Justin Herbert was my dark horse candidate for MVP. Like, I'm very high on the Chargers as well.
Yeah, the Chargers are a really good team when it comes down to it, but then the Raiders are catching me by surprise. Then the Broncos, I'm just thinking, is it because
Yeah,
they're
and the
playing the
Broncos
level of
too. Like,
competition? Is it the level of competition that I'm seeing, or is it are they
that's what
really
I was
legit?
talking about this week on the power rankings. I was like, I have them ranked here because I don't think any team they have played has won a game yet. So the level of competition obviously hasn't been good, but they play the Raiders this week. I mean the Ravens this week. So if they do beat the Ravens, then I definitely would move them up a lot higher. I mean, they've done everything they needed to do, but I just want to see more. I mean, we're only 3 weeks into the
Yeah, you
season.
want to see more
So
of the competition they
exactly.
play. So,
Exactly.
okay, so for the Cowboys, since you had them ranking somewhere in between the top tens, right? So, what's impressive? What makes them the team to? I think they might have a chance to win that NFC East because of their talent.
Oh, I think
I
they're
was kind of getting more into the Eagles, but I feel like the Dallas Cowboys are looking more better than they were.
after Monday night, I'm like, okay, it's a wrap. The Cowboys are winning the NFC East for sure. Coming into the season, I was nervous about the Cowboys because I've seen what this offense can do, and it's just Dak is too good. Dak is too good. You have basically two number one wide receivers on that team in Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. You have two very good running backs in Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. The O-line is healthy. Well, I know Collins is suspended, but the O-line does its job. And the defense has been the biggest surprise. That was my huge question for the Cowboys coming into the season. That defense was so bad last year. They have a lot of young guys on that defense, but literally every single week, this defense surprises me in a good way. They're not relying on turnovers this year. They're getting their turnovers, but they're not relying on them. They can still, force other offenses to punt the ball. And it's just like, whoa, this team is looking way better as an overall team than I expected.
Oh yeah, the thing that's more improving about the Cowboys is Dan Quinn. He knows how to coach
Yeah.
defense. I mean, sure, his record at Atlanta doesn't say much, but he did take them to the Super Bowl. But then you look at it this way, he did coach a really good defense in Seattle, and the track record is still there. So it's like I'm not surprised by the Cowboys. I thought they would do a lot better on defense because Dan Quinn is a far better DC than Mike Nolan, which I'm very familiar with this guy. He does not know how to coach defense, period.
Yeah, I think maybe also just because the defense was so bad last year, it was also like it is almost, I guess, silly for me to think the defense would still be that bad. You know what I mean? After drafting Parsons and all the guys I drafted on defense, like the defense was really bad last year.
Yeah, it was like they gave up a lot of a lot of points and a lot of yards, especially against the Cleveland Browns when people weren't really high on them last year, and then they surprised a lot of people. I was like thinking, man, Cleveland was giving up a lot of points at the second half, and the Cowboys still weren't able to get the job done. So
Yeah,
it was
Dak
kind of
was
like a
throwing for like 400, 500 yards per game before he got injured that season because he had to keep them in the game.
yeah. So since we're going on those other debated teams, like the Rams, I already had a feeling they were like actually the top team in the NFC West before the season. I said like if they got a quarterback, which is Stafford, I thought he was a far better upgrade than Jared Goff, and I already know what I'm getting with Sean McVay. The question is, I don't know what to get out of Arizona. I want to buy into Arizona for some reason, but I just not sure. With the Rams, they're more proven. It's like me getting Coca-Cola and then the Cardinals are Shasta. Which one am I going to buy into? I think the Coca-Cola is the one everybody wants to drink, not the Shasta.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, the Rams gave up too much in that trade, blah blah blah." But when that trade happened, I was like, "There's no way," because if you win a Super Bowl, no one's talking about this trade ever again. And I don't think anyone's even talking about this trade now with the way Matt Stafford looks. The defense is so good too. Like that's just such a complete team. It's such a complete team. Really, with like I don't want to say they have no weaknesses, but really the weaknesses are hard to find on that team. And with the Cardinals, I mean, I love Kyler Murray. Love watching him play. Like he's just really fun to watch play. I think I had them finishing last in my record predictions in the NFC West, even though I didn't want them to. I kept saying in the video, I don't think they're going to finish last. I just was going game by game. I think the defense is definitely the concern there. But it's just like Kyler Murray, they've been putting up, I think they've scored at least 30 points in every game so far this season. So I think it's going to come to how long can Kyler Murray keep this offense moving at this high of a pace, of a scoring pace? How quickly our defense is going to catch on to what they're doing? Are they going to be able to catch on to what they're doing? I don't know, because the thing with Kyler Murray too is like part of his game is just being so unpredictable. You can think, he's going to get sacked. He's like square up in the face of a defender and he just rolls away and completes a pass. So I think the Cardinals, it's really going to come down to, can this offense continue to perform at this level?
Yeah, because they are really a good team, but the only question when it comes down to Arizona is Kingsbury. He can be very unpredictable. And if you look at his record in college when he was coaching at Texas Tech, it was not great. And I'm just surprised at the fact that the Cardinals hired this guy.
Cardinals fans, they're not very sold on him.
Yeah. So what Arizona thinks for a second was when they hired Kingsbury, they thought they were going to get a Sean McVay. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I feel like that was definitely the vibe too. I remember people were making those jokes like, oh, if anyone has ever had dinner with like Sean McVay, they'll get hired as like a head coach. We were going through like that time period where everyone wanted the next McVay. But yeah, as for like Cardinals fans who have commented on my videos, they definitely, I think Cliff Kingsbury is the biggest, as Jan here is saying. Cliff has been their biggest concern, and I feel like the part of this team everyone's really talking about.
Yeah, that's the thing about Arizona. It's like everything looks good on offense except the play caller, but then you look at it this way, they got the Rams, which is going to be a really good test.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to an interesting division game. I think it's going to come down to the wire between these two teams. I think they're going to bring their best. You're going to get the better Cardinals team, and the Rams are going to get the best Rams. I think it's going to come down to who wants it more. And people have been kind of underestimating the Cardinals, which I've done before. But I'm thinking maybe the Cardinals aren't exactly as bad as people think they are, because they started out good. They overcame adversity a little bit. So maybe with this kind of team. Oh, see, this Cardinals fan's even saying it like it is right here.
Oh my gosh! Well, you guys would be happy if you guys stay undefeated. Listen, if the Cardinals beat the Rams, then everyone's gonna stop talking about Cliff. If the Cardinals are able to beat the Rams, I would be very, very impressed.
Yeah, that would be very impressed. Like, you would think, hey, if they beat the Rams, then they are exactly what they can be. But the one team that's kind of been more surprising to me, it's like, how are they getting any better this year? I thought they would have been more of a rebuilding team, but they actually are making some huge strides. I'm talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it just didn't it caught me by surprise. I thought they would have just played sloppy those first 3 games, and then
I love Joe Burrow. He's like one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. I mean, I have a few favorite quarterbacks in the league. I love a lot of quarterbacks in this league, but love Joey B. And I just think the offense, they put up like, what was it, 21 points, I think, versus the Steelers defense. The Steelers defense that really had Josh Allen struggling against them, and that whole Bills offense struggling against them. I mean, the Bills lost to that Steelers defense week 1. So I think what that offense did versus that defense was really impressive. And the defense held the Steelers to 10 points. Like, I know the Steelers offense isn't that good. Ben Roethlisberger pretty much struggling a ton this season. But, I mean, they are 2-1 right now, and they could possibly go 3-1 tonight, which I think they are winning this game tonight.
Well, they got the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's pretty winnable for them. It's like, okay, I kind of have a feeling with the Jaguars. It's still rebuilding, but what is it with Jacksonville giving up on their players too damn soon? It's like, aren't you want to build a foundation?
What? I mean, what was he, a top 10 pick? He was the number 10 overall pick or something? He's the number 9 overall pick, right? CJ Henderson?
Yeah.
I think he was the number 9 overall pick. Like, what? You're trading your number 9 overall pick 1 year later? I just don't think that's a smart move. And I'm honestly surprised the way Trevor Lawrence is playing. I know everyone's saying, oh, he's in Jacksonville, he doesn't have a lot of support. I'm aware of that, but like some of his throws, like it's just he's throwing into double coverage a lot. He's throwing a lot of interceptions. It's just like not smart football. It's easy for me to say sitting right here not playing on the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I'm definitely surprised with how Lawrence is playing. Because even if you look at how a guy like Joe Burrow played in his first season with Cincinnati, really bad O-line. We obviously, unfortunately, saw what happened. But before the injury last season, like he was making plays. He wasn't throwing a ton of interceptions.
Yeah, Joe Burrow's actually good as advertising. I think Cincinnati's kind of making a lot of noises for this division. I mean, everybody was kind of putting them last, even myself. I said, they'll probably be lucky to finish last. But then I look at how they're improving. Joe Burrow, I think, I mean, at this point, if I had to pick a better prospect, Joe Burrow at this point. Lawrence is going to go through growing pains, but maybe in the next couple of years, I might change my mind. But I think Burrow at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, like coming out of college, obviously Lawrence I think was ranked higher. Everyone was like comparing Lawrence to Manning, but right now Joe Burrow's definitely playing better. But you know he does have that extra like half a year, half season.
Yeah, so when Coughlin left the Jaguars in 2008, they were doomed, and he fixed that team in 2 years. Top of that, he left the Giants. Oh, so a lot to do with the Coughlin effect, but I guess whatever the Jaguars have in front office, it's pretty much the old Niners front office work. You got Trent Baalke. That's just I don't know why he still has a job. It's still kind of a surprise that he's still around. So it's like you figured this guy already messed up a lot of draft picks with the Niners, and then he still has a job with a team like worse than us. You know, it's like, oh well, it's not our problem. So okay, let's get to So okay, the one surprising game last week was the Lions and Ravens, man. I didn't think this game would really be as close as I thought it would be, but it came down to that field goal. Like if
Yeah.
yeah, but what's surprising is Ravens, man. They really are starting really slow. Like I'm surprised they're supposed to play a lot better, but they lost to teams like the Raiders and they played a lot of close games. And then it's like, what Baltimore team are we looking at this year? They're really not exactly the same team we're accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, I think the big thing in that game versus the Lions was Marquise Brown had so many drops in that game. Like I was watching that game back, and oh my gosh, I've never seen so many drops by one player, especially when he was coming off a good game versus Kansas City. It was definitely closer than that game needed to be, but they were coming off a win versus Kansas City, and Lamar did have a really big 4th and long conversion. Like he was inside his own 20, and it was 4th and long, and that set up the field goal. So you can call it luck if you want, but I will say I think the drops did put them in that situation because the drops were really, really bad drops in that game.
Yeah, it's just I guess they've just been getting lucky, but then it came down from their running backs too. A lot of injuries at that position. I guess
Yeah.
maybe that's what kind of hurting them a little bit. Yeah, a lot of the drops, a lot of to do with the receivers too. Like Marquise Brown, he's a big playability, but sometimes he drops a lot of passes, and then you expect other good receivers that come to mind. But I guess from what your follower Mr. YTC said, Detroit is in the same situation as the Giants. I mean, they very competitive, but for some
I
reason
think
they come up
honestly
short.
the Lions are better than the Giants right now.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I really do feel that.
So can I get an explanation of why you would say they're a little better than the Giants?
Yeah. So I think they're just playing well, I will say this. I think one of the reasons they lost that game versus the Ravens is it's similar to what has happened with the Giants is they weren't aggressive enough. They were just trying to run down the clock when they were like, I guess near the red zone or in the red zone towards the end of that game. I guess they didn't trust Goff. They weren't allowing him to throw it. They weren't going for the touchdown. They were just going for the field goal. They were just running the ball on third and long, and just trying to set up that field goal. They make the field goal, but the problem is then Justin Tucker makes that field goal, and I just feel like you can never play conservative and win games. Like playing conservative isn't really going to win you games the majority of the time. We've seen that with the Giants. They play way too conservative and they lose games. But it just seems like the Lions are more competitive in their games. Like if the Lions played the Falcons, like right now, I think the Lions would win. I think the Lions are getting a win soon. It's just the Giants offense is just curl routes and really just plays that aren't catching a defense by surprise. Nothing is really forced. It's just little throws that aren't to Daniel Jones' strengths. And I just think the Lions are a better coach team right now too.
Because they're like a young team. They're hungry.
Team.
They're a very hungry team, but I think the Giants, they just gone a little too aggressive in free agency. I thought it would have helped them a little better with the receiving core they got. They got Kenny Galladay. They just drafted Kadarius Toney. I would have think maybe they would have had a better roster
than
they just
them properly, which is problematic for sure.
So what's one thing that so going from the Giants' perspective, what's going on with the Giants and why is this kind of like a really terrible start? It's like I'm kind of like shaking my head a little. I thought they would have been at least a little bit competitive at least because last year, second half of the season, they were showing promises and then they were
definitely. Yeah, so I think it really comes down to the coaching and just being way, way too conservative with the play calling on offense and defense, but specifically offense. Yeah, defense, they're playing a lot of like soft zone and stuff and not really being super aggressive. Pass rush, for some reason, is getting there less than it was last year, and the pass rush wasn't good last year. So that's just a bad combo. Like, you can't give the other team's wide receivers all day to get open, and that's what's happening because they're giving the other quarterbacks way too much time. And then on offense, it's just the really, really conservative play calling, not, drawing up many go routes and letting Daniel Jones throw the ball down the field, which is what he does best. Kenny Galladay is not really running any go routes, and that's just not how Kenny Galladay should be coached or used. He should be going down the field. He's a deep threat, and just the conservativeness on fourth down, like punting it from Atlanta's 39 last week. Like, I'll never agree with that. Like, I'll never agree with punting it on fourth down when you're on Atlanta's 39. Like, you're just taking the game out of your hands then. You're not putting the game in your hands. You're putting it in the other team's hands to win.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I guess from what your boy, Mr. YTC, would say, we're literally 2 drops from 2-1. It could because the Washington football team, you guys had a chance to really beat them, but it came short. Then the Atlanta Falcons game, it's like, man, guess it is what it is with the Giants. But we can look at the outcome of the other team, like Washington football. I think they're just having a very slow start, but I really do like what I see out of their offense. But it seems to me they're kind of regressing a little bit. Don't you think?
Yeah, the defense definitely disappointing so far this season.
Yeah, it's just like you would have think that since they were making addition moves in the offseason, getting some players in the secondary or somebody on their linebacking core would at least elevate their defense better, but it's not the case. But we're talking 3 games, so it's like it can be a turnaround quickly. But definitely. I was really thinking that they could be the really good team. All they need is a quarterback, and maybe they make a strong push for the Super Bowl because, they got everything, I would say.
Yeah, the defense just has to play better. they have all the defensive players. Maybe I think they need some more depth and maybe one more playmaker at the linebacker position. But they just, I don't know, the defense is starting really slow. Chase Young is starting pretty slow.
Yeah, slow starts usually that's how it goes. But the one surprising situation that I've seen going on is Richard Sherman signing to Tampa Bay. It's like Tampa Bay was going through injuries in the secondary early in the season. So I think that Tampa Bay knows that they need to make that strong push to get back in the Super Bowl. So I think even with Tom Brady's trying to be like that LeBron James, man, get the best players he can get on over here or something like that.
Yeah, I think they definitely needed to sign a cornerback, especially a veteran cornerback, because they're dealing with a lot of injuries, and that defense hasn't been playing really well at all this season, especially compared to what we saw them do in the Super Bowl. I know they have the injuries, like I said, back there in the secondary, but even the pass rush just hasn't really been there as much as it was last season for the Buccaneers, and that's just a bad combo. No pass rush and a lot of injuries in your secondary. That's going to lead to quarterbacks having all day to find a wide open wide receiver.
Yeah, that's pretty much been the weakness for the season opener. And now they might just see if that can fix it. We'll see. I think with Sherman, he may not be the same player, but he will at least be a good
that's
leader.
The thing. I don't know how good Sherman is now, but it's definitely good to have someone who has experience out there. Like, I don't know if he's lost a step, but he's definitely going to be an upgrade.
With what they got right now, yeah. So it's like, it caught me by surprise. I didn't think Sherman would just go all the way over there and go play for Tom Brady. I would have thought, man, he's probably done with football. Nope. Guess Brady might have made a call and just told him to come over here.
Yeah.
So okay, so we can agree on certain stuff about slow starts for certain teams. Like, I think Kansas City on a slow start, I don't think they're as bad as people think they are. I think they might be on. They still might win the division even with this slow start because they still got a good team. But a lot of it will be fixed. The only question is, can Seattle fix it? Because they're on a slow start. It's like you don't know what to expect out of them.
I'm not very confident in Seattle right now. I feel like Seattle is a first half of the season team. Like, I was talking about this in the off season. I was like, I don't really know how to describe it. I feel like Seattle always has such high expectations, but then they don't really do too much, and we don't even talk about them not doing too much. Like, they're never bad, but they're never the best. They're just like kind of like solid in the middle, winning games, but not winning the big games. I mean, the defense got absolutely shredded by Kirk Cousins last week, like absolutely shredded. Dalvin Cook wasn't even playing, but Madison had over 100 rushing yards. Like, the defense was so bad. And then the offense didn't put up any points in the second half versus the Vikings. So that's definitely like alarming if I'm a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, a lot of them are kind of like, I've seen a lot of the fan base kind of panicking a little bit. And I got this one guy who does content for Seattle, and he's on my co-host of the NFC West Roundtable. He kind of seems like he's having a panic mode, and I'm like thinking, we'll see, man. You guys play us, you should be able to have a favorable matchup, but who knows? Who knows what happens? But the one team I have more trust with when it comes to a slow start is I think I just have more trust with Kansas City. It's like I know what I'm getting with Kansas City.
Yeah.
Seattle, I don't know. It's like, can they really do it again? It's impossible. But anything with Russell Wilson, it's possible. I'm depressed and need therapy for my Bears. Okay, let's get on to the Bears since we got this Butters guy, this Butters. So, what do you think of the Bears? I mean, they're having a slow start, but they're going to go through a quarterback situation because of Andy Dalton's out for a while. What do you think of Justin Fields' progression? You think he's going to make some significant improvements, or you think it's going to be like those rookie growing pains, which I've seen a couple of those, a couple of those eras, but I still think he needs more reps, and that's going to be good for this kid.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really tough playing behind a bad offensive line, especially when you're a rookie. I feel the same way about Zach Wilson with that Jets offensive line. I mean, Zach got sacked 6 times in his first NFL start, and you could just kind of tell when he's playing like that it might be in his head a little bit, him knowing, okay, I don't have much time to get this ball out of my hands. Maybe him thinking in his head, do I hear footsteps behind me? I think when you're a rookie, that kind of just has to be in your head a little bit. I mean, Justin Fields got sacked 9 times in his debut, which is worse. And I think a lot of it will come down to, will this line improve? Because if the line does improve, it's gonna give Justin Fields more time to do his thing. And I think they need to just design plays where Justin Fields is able to get out of the pocket and roll out, because we know he can do that very well. Just have him moving in that offense. I don't really know if I trust Matt Nagy, but like they got to figure something out to get him kind of outside of the pocket and just moving around, because he can't just sit in that pocket right now. You can't have your rookie quarterback that you drafted, in the first round getting sacked 9 times in his first game. It's just not going to set him up for a good career.
That's like David Carr type stats, getting sacked.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about Derek's brother, but yeah, he was the one with the most sacks. Like he got sacked a lot, even Houston, but that's not looking good. If Chicago's got to really fix that line,
Yeah,
or
because
they
it
didn't.
wasn't even
They
good with Dalton playing. Oops, my phone.
I mean, even with Dalton, at least he had some veteran experience, but I think a running game would pretty much give him more of a chance to open up the play action. But I think defense are still going to go after Justin Fields because he's very mobile. So if we want to go by that debate with I expect Justin Fields to go to the growing pains right now because that's what it is, especially with the Jets. I had a feeling that Zach Wilson was going to go through struggles.
Yeah.
Because the Jets are a rebuilding team. They are really young, and they got a new head coach, which I'm very familiar with. But usually with those new head coaches, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time for this type of team to turn it around. So I expect the Jets to be progressing slowly, but I think Zach Wilson is going through that growing pains like most quarterbacks would when they first start. So I think that would be the case.
Yeah.
So my takes on the Jets is, I think they might win about 4 games at best. Like I just don't. Even when they hired Saleh, I just said I don't think they're not going to win any more past 4 games. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I see this team maybe winning 3 games. Just they're not really there yet. They're still definitely rebuilding. I don't think Zach Wilson is going to be a bad quarterback, but he needs support around him. I mean, he's only played 3 NFL games. Like his interceptions aren't all his fault. Yes, some of them definitely are. Some of them are literally balls going straight through receivers' hands and that kind of stuff. But I just don't see the Jets winning a lot of games this year. They got to draft an offensive lineman next year for sure. For sure.
Yeah, because it's a very young team, and I knew this was like a terrible situation for Saleh. I thought Saleh should have took a job with the Chargers or at least the Lions. Lions could have been something because it was his roots, but he took the other route, which I thought was very head scratching. But good luck to Saleh. I just think it's going to take some time for the Jets to be very competitive. The one team that kind of catches me by surprise is the Carolina Panthers. I think they're making a lot of good improvements. They're making good strides. And I think when it comes to the true test, when they play against an actual good team like the Cowboys, I want to see what Carolina Panthers we're going to get this year. I really like what they did with Sam Darnold. I like what they got with the weapons. I like how they're improving significantly under Matt Rule, whatever his name is. I mean, I like what I see out of Carolina. What do you think?
Yeah. I think the defense was really, really good. Like one of the best in the league right now. I mean, the defense is really up there. I want to see a little more from Sam Darnold. I mean, I know he's played really well, but I want to see how he plays against some other defenses, some better defenses. And yeah, that's definitely a team that surprised me, especially because they didn't win by a ton versus the Jets week 1. So I wasn't expecting much from them, but they have looked really good.
Yeah, the offense has gotten a little bit better, and I think even with giving Sam Darnold a fresh start out of New York was pretty much a good situation for him.
Definitely.
And I think I think usually a change of scenery for some players is a good thing. Sometimes it's not, but for Sam Darnold it is because he's got better supporting cast. So I would think that would be good recipe instead of being with the Jets. The Jets are just rebuilding; they're not really helping this guy. It's like he went through struggles his earlier, which you can understand when he first started as a rookie. But in his second year, they should have done whatever they could to give him a lot of weapons and a lot of supporting cast, but they didn't do that. So it's like they gave up on him after his third year, and then they went with Zach Wilson, which is very similar. You got to have patience with your quarterback, and you got to build around your quarterback at this point. So you're not going to win any games if you don't surround your quarterback with better talent.
Yep.
So, like, I don't expect much from Houston. I think they're just going to be like a low expectation team because they don't have Deshaun Watson, and they're going to go through with Tyrod Taylor. He might give you a couple wins here and there, but then you got Davis Mills, who's like a rookie quarterback that he drafted from Stanford. I think you're just only getting a guy who would just go in when it's necessary. I don't know much about him, maybe you get something okay with him.
Yeah, I think they were definitely a better team under Tyrod Taylor than with Mills. I mean, Mills had some nice plays Thursday night, but you could definitely tell he's like, still a rookie. He took a lot of big hits. But this team was definitely competitive under Tyrod Taylor. I mean, they do already have a win. They won versus the Jaguars, but I definitely think this team could have won like at least 5 games if Taylor was a starting quarterback. But I don't know when he's going to come back. I don't know if it's like a 3-week thing. I'm not 100% sure. But if and when he does come back this season, I definitely think they can put together a few more wins.
Yeah, it's like I think they are surprising some people in some ways, but it's just like nothing much there for them. But okay, so when we come to another team that comes to mind, it's like I look at teams like the one that surprises me is the Colts. I would have thought maybe they would have played a little bit better, but Carson Wentz injured again. Same story in Philadelphia. You would have thought maybe Frank Reich could turn this kid around just because he coached over there. It could have been the match made in heaven, but it looks like he's going to be out a while, and the Colts are not having a great start. So usually 0-3 is not a good way to start. And I really thought they were a really good team, but now I'm kind of like back into the reality and say, you know what? I think Tennessee's better. Like, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I had the Colts winning the division before the season started. But if they want to win the division now, I think they still can, but they got to get it together quick. I mean, the offensive line is so bad. Like last game versus the Titans, I mean, the Titans defense isn't anything special, no offense, but this offensive line could not hold up in pass pro. Carson Wentz was dropping back, throwing the ball on the ground, because if he didn't, he would just get sacked. I mean, a bad offensive line plus a quarterback who has 2 sprained ankles. It's not a great combo. So hopefully when his ankles heal, he's going to be able to move around a little more back there. It kind of seemed like he was a little limited back there this week. The run game is still solid with Jonathan Taylor, but it's just they can't get the ball down the field because he doesn't have time to sit back there and throw it. They really couldn't get the ball down the field at all. The defense is still solid. The defense is definitely still good. It's just they got to be able to force the ball or throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, that's what it is with the Colts, but it's just like a lot of these injuries are just getting bad, and then they have a good running game. They do have some good running backs. It's like the one issue with Colts now, it's like this running back, Marlon Mack, wants to get traded now because of his role. And then you have like this what is this, Himes? He's a good all-purpose back. He can catch the ball at the backfield, which I know a lot of fantasy football owners like this guy too, even though you got Jonathan Taylor, which he's a really good back. But a lot to do with their quarterback situation is not a good thing. So it's like they were just going all in for Carson Wentz.
Now it's starting they don't make the playoffs, and that trade looks really bad for the Colts.
It would. It would definitely would. Yeah, you ran about your team or no? I guess they're asking how you ran about the Giants. I mean, if you've seen her videos, I think she had some breakdown moments about the Giants, right?
It's mostly like when I record my reaction during the game, it's mostly just like, oh my God, like you can tell how I feel in those videos because it's literally me seeing the team lose live. So those are definitely my most like raw moments. I'm not a huge like yeller or ranter about the team. Like, I'll slap my desk because I'm sitting at my desk watching the game, like out of frustration, but I'm not like someone who's really like yelling at the camera. Like, I'll just be like frustration, hit the table with my hand, that type of thing. But I'm not someone who's like yelling like blah, 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 blah. You can just kind of see it in my face, and I'll just be like, I think my most common thing is like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Are you serious? No way. But yeah, I'm not like a huge yeller. I know some people yell, but I don't yell.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm more like the opposite. Sometimes it depends on the outcome. Sometimes I might have my moments of saying, what the heck, or what's going on? Why are we doing this? Why we're beating ourselves this way? It's like, there was a couple like these moments where I kind of thought, man, we almost blew the Lions game. And I was kind of like yelling like, damn it. And then I kind of just flipped out and just like, but then people kind of have a good laugh out of it. So I just thought, man, they like to see some car wrecks a little here and there. So I thought, hey, mix it up a little bit. Maybe some people might just get a good joke out of me. And let's say I'm like Bad Dogs ranting. Oh, Bad Dog does good rants. I like this guy.
Yeah,
This
Bad
guy
Dog
is
definitely rants. I'm more of like a head on my hands type of person. Like, I can't believe this. What the heck? But now I feel like at this point, I'm not even. My hopes aren't even up to get upset like this week. Like this week, I just have a definite feeling they're gonna lose. So when they do lose, I'm not gonna be that upset because I know it's coming. But I don't know. Once Sunday comes, I always feel a little different in the morning. There's always like a little bit more hope on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, but when I look at the way my team is, it's like I expect a lot better this time. I would have understand if we were going through the same injuries and all that, which we've been going through. But I feel like this is where we have no excuses. This is where Shanahan needs to really do better. The offense isn't as injured. We have a lot of receivers that are healthy. The running backs, sure, they're a little injured, but they're going to come back, so that's not the issue. The secondary, yes, that's the problem, which I'm already aware of. We're probably going to give up a lot of yards here and there, but the question is, can our pass rushers finally show up again? That's the question right there. If they could, then I think we can hold on to a couple close games and maybe get some of our players healthy late in the season and maybe make a strong push. But I'm not saying playoffs yet until we can actually play better, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So for expectation-wise, I know the NFC West is going to be a lot tougher, and it just one loss alone just puts you in the bottom. So that's the tough part. So like it's got to be a must-win against Seattle, even though Seattle is desperate and hungry. That's a dangerous type of team you don't want to play. So like, what's your thoughts of it? Like, talk about like NFC West in perspective. Like, don't you think it's like really tough? Even if you lose one game, you're just behind a little.
Yeah, I definitely think the NFC West is like the toughest division in the league. I think whatever team finishes last in the league in that division is going to have a winning record, which kind of stings. It's definitely early on in the season. Yeah, one loss definitely has a huge impact with the Rams and Cardinals both being 3-0 right now. I mean, one of those teams will obviously have a loss after this week, but it's really the division games are huge for these teams. Like winning games versus division rivals is so important for the teams in this division because it could really decide who wins this division.
Yeah, it does. It kind of comes down to it because it's like a dogfight with this division. But when you look at teams in other divisions, the NFC North, there's no competition for Green Bay. I mean, I would have thought maybe Minnesota would be, but
Yeah,
I don't
Minnesota.
know.
I mean, I feel like they can possibly contend after what they did versus Seattle, but it's really Green Bay's division to win. Or I mean, Green Bay's division to lose.
Yeah, that's what everybody hates to say, but it kind of seems like it. Like if
Yeah.
the way they're playing, it's kind of like it's theirs to lose. NFC East, the division winners don't change every year. I mean, they change every year, so you don't get the repeats. So just to be fair, I don't know about Washington football. I don't think they'll even repeat. I think it comes down to a team, maybe like Philly, but then Philly just played terrible. But that's just too early in the season. But my issue with the Eagles is this Nick Sirianni just like another Doug Patterson? That's what I'm hearing a lot of from these Eagle fans. These Eagle fans are putting it out there.
With the run game, like I would watch Eagles games last year. I remember specifically, I think it was Eagles versus Browns last year. I forget what week it was. Probably like middle of the season. They ran the ball with Miles Sanders a handful of times on the first drive of the game, and he was getting like 5 yards per carry or something like that. He was averaging around like 5 yards per carry on that first drive. And then after that drive, they just like abandoned the run. And I was like, what? There was no reason for them to abandon the run. Like they just did. There was no reason though. It's not like, he fumbled the ball or was only getting like 1 yard per carry. There's no reason. And then Monday night, I was watching the game versus Dallas. They just really didn't run plays at all to start off the game. They were just throwing the ball. And I think that's just such a silly move versus a Dallas offense because that offense just consistently scores. And you want to, win time of possession if you can versus that Dallas team. You want to keep the clock running for as long as you can and give that other offense, that Dallas offense, the most, little time you possibly can give them with the ball because that offense is so good. And for them to just come out, just throwing the ball and not even trying to run the ball, And when they did run it, Miles Sanders was getting really solid runs. I don't know what this whole thing is with the Eagles and not running the ball with Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, you would think because he's very talented, but he's mostly effective as a receiving back from what I'm looking at. So it's like, why not use him more as a runner too? But then they got this other running back, Gaineswell, this other running back too, which he's very explosive also. They got to start utilizing more of their running game if they want to be able to still contend in that division. So it's like, I get a lot of these vibes from these Eagle fans. I think they're just thinking, is this another Doug Patterson? Because they think now they're kind of like panicking. I'm seeing a lot of these Eagles bid makers kind of thinking like they're making titles with Doug Patterson 2.0. Is that Nick Sirianni? Because it seems like they're kind of like, man, it seems like we got rid of Doug Patterson, but it doesn't seem like we got rid of the person in him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like, that's what I think. You know, that would be the one question that everybody wants to get that answer. So we'll wait and see how the season goes. But as far as like the New England Patriots, I would think they're just more of a team that could compete for the playoffs, but they're still like a year behind. And the quarterback, Mac Jones, will go through growing pains. And like life after Brady, it's kind of getting the Patriots the worst out of it right now. So it's like people were saying, well, Brady had Belichick. He's not the same. He won't be as good as he was. Well, Brady just went to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl. So the question's on Bill Belichick now.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots have been kind of disappointing so far this season. I know they're only 3 games into the season, but their only win is versus the Jets as of right now. I don't think they're going to win versus Tampa, and I think they're going to go 1-3 then. And you know, Mac Jones still young, but he hasn't looked great for the past 2 games. Even the game they won versus the Jets, it was the defense really setting up that offense. And even when he was in the position to score, they really they weren't putting the ball in the end zone unless it was a running play. Really, he didn't throw any touchdowns that game, I believe. Don't quote me on that though.
Okay, so that would be something. But here's a huge shout out to Depressed Butters. He wants to ask you something.
Oh, do you want to open a club? Yeah, just send me a message on Instagram. I think is the best way to set it
Yeah,
up.
and you can tag her too. That would be a good way to do that. I mean, he's been looking for ways to collaborate too. I think he does mostly Bears content, so he's looking for somebody to content out of the fan base. Yeah, well, let's see. Any more questions, and then we can probably just end it from here. But I definitely enjoy collaborating with you. You got some good insights, and I do appreciate what you do. Like I've watched a lot of your content. I see what you got to say. I think kind of like differently, like how you would, and I'm like, then okay, I can see why she's put it in the rankings. I can see it, but then sometimes I'm like thinking a little bit of errors, but you know what you're doing, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any like perfect power ranking out there from anyone. Like I could probably make 5 power rankings and you know think they're all equally as good. You know, I don't think there's any perfect power ranking.
Yeah. So that point. So any like yeah, and I definitely have to see Butters collaborate. Yep. Everybody likes to see this to happen, but you know, like I got to give a huge shout out to John Jay because he made it happen when I got to get you to reach out, which he was there earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I remember that I was trying to reach out to you for quite a while, but I guess you were hard to get through. Like you said, you don't really go much on the messages.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like part of my messages, I think there's like 2 inboxes, but one of them doesn't like give notifications to my phone, which is so weird. So like I have to like physically go in, and I'm so bad with my messages. Like on Instagram, my text messages, like from my friends, like I'm apologizing to my friends. Like I'm terrible at texting back.
Yeah, sometimes I'm kind of the same way. Sometimes I'm a little antisocial with everybody else, and sometimes when I get messages, I get it late. Sometimes I'm like, "Sorry, guys, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not that good either, so I guess
I'm
we
just
can
very
relate to that."
forgetful. It
Yeah,
also
very
takes the
forget.
form of me. I used to like last year. I think I forgot. Like Zoom school was really bad transition for me. I think I forgot like 2 assignments were due. Just totally forgot. Slipped the brain. You know.
Yeah, then shout out to
That kind
John
of stuff.
Jay and
Oh,
everybody.
that was due yesterday. I totally didn't remember.
Yeah. So here's another question from this Cardinals fan. Have you ever collaborate with an Arizona content maker?
I don't think I have. I don't believe so.
Well, I got a suggestion for you if you ever think of it in the near future. The AZ Sports Fan, check him
Okay,
out.
I'll definitely check him out. Yeah, I'm always
Yeah,
open
because
to collaborate and stuff.
yeah, he's on my division, so we're on the NFC West roundtable. If it wasn't for the AZ Sports Fan, I don't think I would have been where I was. So it's like this guy gave me an opportunity, and I'm capitalizing. He even says I'm just giving him some comedy and some good Oh, the Cardinal Rule. That's another guy. He does dialysis, or what is it, like dialysis plays or something, where he kind of like analyzes a little bit stuff and does like these little school stuff or something like that.
Oh, cool.
That's a guy with up and coming content. He'll give you some stats, and then he'll give you some analytics. There you go, analytics. There you go. Kind of mix it up a little.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I'll definitely check him out too, because I'm really getting into analytics, or I'm trying to get more into analytics as well.
Yeah, it's like a lot of these guys with analytics. Cardinal Rule, he's had his channel for at least less than a year, but he's like the professor in his own mind. So it's like this guy's a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for anybody else, appreciate you on the show. Maybe in the near future, if you got the free time, if you're open, I'm open on myself. I like to talk a little bit of all 32 teams sometimes, but I know you like to do it both ways. So maybe in the near future, if we play our own team, we can probably match up on the Niners and Giants game in the near future.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So for everybody else, me and Shegotsports, we're going to head out, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
All right.